everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reconnect. I'm Diana Palm, and I am the medium helping you to heal the grief from heartbreak and loss. Today, I have a very special guest that's going to be coming on live with us so that we can talk to her about the loss of a loved one and the afterlife and how this has moved her and shaped her life moving forward, how it inspired her on her life path. She's going to be sharing some of her afterlife signs and symbols that she gets from her loved one who passed. So I'm really very happy to introduce to you my dear friend Mel, who's also a professional medium now and doing extraordinary work out there. But I'll let her share her story about how she got started and how this inspired her forward on her spiritual journey. Many of you, if you've taken my classes, if you've worked with me in the past, you may already know Mel. So if you do, please give her a warm hello. And if you don't know her, send her a hi in the comments. We're going to turn the private chat on so that we can see the comments. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you right now to Mel. Hi, Mel.
Hi, Diana. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
Yes, I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm going to make sure we've got the chat on here in case people want to communicate to us. So we are live on Facebook and on YouTube, and this will stay up on both platforms so that people can continue to watch and learn and grow and heal their hearts and just find inspiration and upliftment through their own losses. So Mel, as we're getting started here, I'd like you to share your personal story and tell us a little bit about the most significant person that you have in your life that's in the afterlife, the one that passed away and inspired you onto your life path. Can you share a little bit about him?
Yes, of course. I love to talk about my dad. So
Oh,
in 2014, my father was walking my daughter, I believe, to a McDonald's to play and to have lunch. I'm not sure. He was in the desert area of where I live. And there was a woman who didn't want to wait at the red light. And she drove her car up into the desert to go around all the traffic and the light. And she ran over my father. From what I'm told from the witnesses, he used his last moment to push my daughter out of the way instead of jumping out of the way himself.
that's amazing.
Yes. So she is 10 years old today. She's still alive because of my dad.
Make me cry too. That's so amazing.
So my dad was obviously a wonderful person in that moment and in all moments in my eyes. And that's what really started me on this journey. I was always open to receiving signs from him. I was always open to receiving signs from spirit in general. But it was after my dad passed that I really connected with the signs and symbols that I was receiving from him in the afterlife.
Yeah. And, that's how it got started for me. And I think that a lot of our viewers will really identify with that because I call it a soul opening experience. And often that comes through the loss of a loved one. It's something that just devastates you and breaks your heart. And in the meantime, cracks you wide open because as you go in to do your internal healing, that's where you really discover so many of your spiritual gifts. And there's a really deep desire for this journey, for this connection. I've shared with a lot of my students and clients that my journey started when my best friend died, and then a year later, my little sister. So it was the two of them passing in a very close amount of time where I just threw my hands up, gave up my home staging business. And I was like, I had always done the spiritual work. I'd always done mediumship, although I didn't know I was always connected, but I wasn't working as a professional medium, just a healer. But that desire, that deep desire to stay connected to my two loved ones on the afterlife, that's what took me down the road of mediumship and really diving deep into that and fine tuning it. So it's really interesting to hear that is also what inspired you.
I'd never had a connection before. Like you said, you had always been doing it. I never had that connection before my father passed away. I never talked to spirit. I never saw spirit. I never even knew. I knew what a medium was, but what they did and how they did it, I knew nothing about that. And you're right, it's very soul opening when you lose somebody like that. It really does open aspects of your soul you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, it takes you into the depths.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, I also call that time frame after grief. I often refer to it as like your sacred solo time or your sacred time of transition, because there's a time frame after losing a loved one. I've said this before, like everyone rushes to your aid immediately upon the loss and then all
Yes.
the way through the funeral. And
Yes.
then there's this quiet space that you enter, the abyss, where everyone disappears and most bereaved feel like they've been abandoned. But
Yes.
I'm like, I'd like to reframe that for people and let them know that this is actually where your sacred solo time begins and where you learn to shift your vibration so that you can stay connected to your loved ones in the afterlife.
Yes, that's very accurate.
Yeah, so it's like it's a really important time. So if any of you are out there grieving and you're feeling like, oh, my family's too busy, my friends aren't around, they forget to ask me, that's okay, because this truly is your journey. This is your time. And what I mean by like learning how to calibrate, it's like, through meditation, through prayer, through your own healing journey, through going inward, through learning how to just silence your mind and be still and pay attention to what's around you.
Yes.
This is how you level up and shift that vibration to calibrate into the vibration of the spirit world. And this is what attunes you to be able to get all the amazing signs and symbols from the afterlife. And that heals your heart. And that lets you know you're still connected. And that's where you get your divine inspiration to move forward.
I was actually thankful for that alone time, the time after the funeral, because, from the moment you get that phone call until the moment that they have been buried and the funeral's over, it's go, 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 and constant, constant, constant.
Yeah.
And you don't have time for yourself to even breathe. And for me, it was a month after my father was killed. He wasn't buried for a month because of an investigation. So for a whole month, I had no time to myself. And afterwards, being alone and having that time, you're right, I meditated, I prayed, I was alone. I learned how to be alone. I learned how to connect to myself, which I had never done before. And that alone time really did help me a lot.
Yeah. So you feel your dad around you still?
Oh, all the time. My dad is with me all the time. Yes.
What are some of the ways your dad has come through for you?
So the day that it happened, I remember I was in the passenger seat. I had somebody driving me. And in my mind, I said to him, now again, I wasn't a medium at this time. I didn't even know how to even begin. But I said to him in my mind, I said, Dad, if you leave me signs and symbols, I will know in my heart. I will know if and when they're from you. And the moment I said that, there was this huge van that drove by us on my side of the car that said Dad in huge letters, and then a small apostrophe, Dad's bail bonds.
Oh, that's amazing.
The moment I had that thought, it was right there.
That's amazing.
I knew that was him saying to me, you got it, kid. I'm going to send you everything you need. And he does all the time. He does.
Yeah. What other kind of things does he do for you?
So he sends me hearts all the time. I'll look down randomly and there'll be a heart on the ground. I have so many rocks of hearts. I actually had to stop picking them up because I have so many. I would take pictures. And it's crazy too, because if I was having a bad day at work, my dad would always show up because we shared the car. He would show up with a large French fry and a sweet tea from McDonald's. Okay. And so that was his way of making me feel better. And I remember so many times when I was at work and having a bad day or a bad moment, and I would walk the grounds of work, although I knew what was on the ground. And I would look down and there would be a heart there out of nowhere that wasn't there before. And I knew that that was his way of sending me the large fry and the sweet tea from McDonald's.
Oh, how sweet.
I even have friends in other states and other countries that will send me a heart and say, your dad is here with me. So even my friends and my family receive the hearts from him too.
What does that make you feel like when your friends are participating with your afterlife, sharing the afterlife signs and symbols that even they're receiving?
It makes me just feel so happy. So A lot of my friends, a good majority of them, I've known since childhood. I have like 10 friends that I met in kindergarten when I was 5 years old, and I'm 40 now, that are still close friends with me. I have my two best friends that I met when I was 13, and they all tell me like they felt like they lost their dad because they loved him and knew him their whole lives. And so when he sends them a sign too, it lights them up as well. It's like their own dad is sending them a sign too.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of people don't realize that the afterlife signs and symbols can go to anybody, like whoever's most receptive, but also it's not just a matter of receptivity. I do find that with some people that are like, I never get any signs. And it's like everyone else around them is getting all the signs.
Right. Right.
And so if that happens to you, then I always say, yeah, convey that, share that with the loved one who's not getting the signs, because your loved one on the other side wants to make sure you're getting it. And I think in your case, Mel, that's why your dad was just reaching out to all the people that, he held close to him, all your closest friends, because he wanted to hit them directly, like, I'm not forgetting you either,
Yes.
And I love that, because in the spirit world, people always think it's like the physical world. Well, when we leave our physical body, we can literally be with all of our loved ones at the same time, no matter how far they are apart. So your dad's ability to go to the, other countries and pop in and give them hearts, it can happen at the same exact time that he's visiting you.
And my dad, he also sends my mom signs. And in physical life, my parents did not get along very well. But when my dad passed away, I went to a medium within 2 or 3 weeks, and she could describe my mom's house, which my dad had never been inside of. And the message was, I'm taking care of her too. I'm watching over her too. And my mom will find hearts as well sometimes.
I love that. And people, that's another thing, another misconception that I'd like to clear up, because a lot of people are afraid to connect with loved ones on the other side because maybe their relationship was strained in the physical world. So, but spiritually, what I see is that from a higher level, sometimes those strained individuals, those relationships that are having a lot of issues, those souls are like very committed. They love you, and they're very committed to pushing you into the path or direction that you're meant to go. And that we don't always learn through ease. Sometimes we have to have somebody that shows up problematic in our lives to get the inspiration or motivation to make moves. And so even though they don't appear to be like the most friendly, loving individuals, on a soul level, they are. So again, once they leave the physical and they're in the spirit world, they're like, yeah, they're rooting for you. They're like, you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
And it's just so wonderful to see that, because most people are just living under the context of, this person betrayed me, that person's no good, this person I'm mad at, this person and I don't get along. And that's just the physical, So teaching people how to see it more from a spiritual standpoint is like looking at the lessons. What did I learn? What did they provide to me? How did I teach them? Did they teach me? Was there an equal exchange? Because we all benefit each other.
Yes.
And I think just shifting that perspective for a lot of people could be very helpful too in healing after the loss of a loved one.
I completely agree.
So Mel, I wrote down some questions.
Okay.
Let me see. I want to make sure that we hit all these. So I was going to ask how long it took before you started getting signs, but you got one right away.
Immediately.
I love that.
I do say too that when I have one more sign I do want to share.
Yeah.
So, and I want to let people know that you don't have to be a medium to get the signs, and you don't have to be a medium to feel in your heart that that's where they're from. Because all the hearts I got, I wasn't a medium. I didn't even know what it was, but the moment I saw it, I felt it right here in my heart. So that's how I knew it was from him. But that fast forward, I'm on my mediumship journey. I'm learning how to become a medium, and I'm driving down the freeway here in town. And all of a sudden, and I'm listening to music, I'm jamming, and all of a sudden my dad pops in my head, a vision of my dad, and he does this. Now, this is a motorcycle symbol. When you're on a motorcycle, if you touch the top of your helmet, you're telling another motorcyclist there's a police officer up ahead. And I thought, okay, I made that up. That's not true, but I did slow down. And thank God I did, because two or three bridges up, there were 3 police officers doing radar. So he connects with me to help me as well in that way. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And you know, I that's why I love to teach people about their signs and symbols. So have you had an afterlife experience with your father where you've had dream visits?
Yes, I have. So being how he died the way he did, she was going 55. His body was not of a state that the doctors felt we should see him, because he didn't want us to remember that, and it was very bad. And I always said to myself, I wish to God I had told the doctor, how about you just keep him covered with a sheet or 2? I just want to hold his hand. I just want to see his hand. And I always regretted not doing that. And probably 6 to 8 months after, my dad came to me in a dream, and I know it was real because I can remember every detail of that dream right now. If you ask me what I dreamed last night, I know I did, but I don't know what it was. And my father came to me and he held his hand out and he said, look, I'm okay. Here's my hand. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm riding motorcycles and surfing. And I'm like, oh my, and he's eating a box of Kellogg's cereal, which he loved. The tiger on it. I can't remember what it's called. Frosted Flakes.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yes. And he did come to me again another time. He was in the same room that he was in when he came to me with the hand dream, just telling me again, I'm okay. I'm always with you.
I love that. And a lot of people don't realize that those dreams are real. They're real afterlife visits.
Very
You're
real.
exactly right, Mel.
Right there.
It's like regular dreams. They disappear from both ends as soon as you wake up. And it's hard. You're hard pressed sometimes to remember them and try to get the symbolic meaning of them. But when you have an afterlife visit, it stays ingrained with you because it is a real experience.
Yes.
It's somewhere that you're meeting in the middle where you're coming in contact with the spirit world and able to have these beautiful, loving and healing conversations with your loved one who passed.
Yes.
And I've had many of those myself, and I can remember every single one very clearly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why I like to just kind of break that down too for the viewers, because if they're experiencing that, I want them to know that that is a real afterlife visit.
Yes, it is. It is. And I knew it because I could feel it. I could feel him. When I touched his hand, I could feel his hand.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I also like what you said about the heart, because that's very true for every individual. I get a lot of people that send me orb pictures. They always want me to look at stuff. And I'm like, I get too many now. I'm like, only in a session, because I get just hundreds. Will you look at this? Will you listen to this? And EVP and orb photos and all that. And people it's so weird because in their minds, they're like, they're getting the orb photos, they're getting EVPs, they're having experiences around their house, they're having dream visits, and yet they still doubt it.
Right. They
want somebody to validate it for them. And it's like, that's the missing thing. Get out of your head and get into your heart.
Correct.
Because when it is authentic and you just tune in and receive that energy, it's exactly like what Mel said. It's very heartwarming. Your heart chakra will literally open.
Yes.
You'll feel it in your heart. You probably will get like a surge of emotion. You'll feel the connection, even if it's just momentary. But that's how you can discern and know that it's a real afterlife sign and symbol.
Yes.
Let's see, Mel. Okay, let's see. So how long was it after your father passed that you went down the road of like really wanting to learn mediumship? Was it just to heal, or did you want to bridge the gap between you and the afterlife?
It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I actually got thrown into it. I didn't have a choice. So for the first 2 years, especially, I was so grief stricken. I couldn't do anything. I wanted to come home from work and go to bed. And that's exactly what I did. So for the first 2 years, it was very difficult. But then after that, I started, healing myself and working on myself, reading books about grief, reading books about the afterlife. I read all of your books.
Thank you.
I love your books. And that really did help me. But it was 5 years after he passed that I was forced into it, if you will, into mediumship and healing and spiritual modalities.
So tell me how you were forced into it.
Okay. I love to tell this story. So I'm very introverted. I don't like to go out. I don't like to make plans. And I'm that person. I'm like, yes, let's go out on Friday. And when Friday gets here, I'm like, why did you do that? So I had a plan to go out with my friend, and he texted me last minute, and I knew in my heart that I had to go, but I didn't want to. And it was the weirdest pulling feeling, very weird at the time. Now I can understand. And so I get to the restaurant, and all of a sudden I have this feeling inside of me that is just like, I want to cower inside. And I've never had that before. And I was ready to tell my friend I want to leave. And he ended up showing up. So we went inside, and on the way inside, there's tons of hearts on the ground. I'm talking like 30. And I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. But the hearts I don't have that feeling like they're from my dad, but I knew I was supposed to be there. And so we're eating and talking and hanging out for 2 hours. And then as we leave, I exit the restaurant, and that feeling comes back, that feeling of what's happening. Something's changing within my body. I know now that's my soul connecting, and it's very natural. But when you don't know what's happening, it's very fearful. And I said, I think we're supposed to go back inside. He's like, what? So I followed my instincts. I ended up going back inside. And the moment I went inside, I locked eyes with his friend, who was our waitress the whole night. And I never felt anything. And as soon as I locked eyes on her, I felt a woman standing right here. And I knew it was a woman. And I said, oh my God, we got to go talk to your friend. So I go up to her and I say, this is so crazy, but are you okay if I do this? She's like, yeah, no problem. And I'm getting all of this information. I got her name, I got her age, I got how she died, that she was her mom, some other things, and everything was accurate. And I thought, how is this happening to me? What is going on? And then we go to leave, and she's walking us out, and they're talking, and all of a sudden her grandmother comes, can I have a turn? And I thought, oh my gosh, it's happening again. And I'm scared at this point because I don't understand. I don't know that this is just very natural. And everything her grandmother said was correct. She had been in a minor car accident earlier. Her water heater had gone out. There was a message for her brother. Now, I had never met this girl. I didn't even know she had a brother, and everything was accurate. And so I was very much forced into it. I would have done it anyway because I was, leaning towards that. I was reading your books. I was signing up for help courses and stuff. So I would have gotten there, but they're like, here, get there now.
Yeah. And I think that's part of, I would say part of the medium's journey. And before I say this, I'd like to also say a lot of people do want to learn mediumship strictly to keep connected with their loved one in the afterlife. Right. Not all the mediums I teach turn into professional mediums. They don't have that intention. They're just like, I just want to stay connected to my loved ones. That's it. I just want to be able to call them up, stay connected, pay attention to their signs, be able to tune in, and be able to operate in the physical in a more spiritual way. And that connection definitely does that. But when I was really honing in on mine, because I had seen ghosts and all that stuff, a super empath, see ghosts walking around most of my houses. But I didn't know that I didn't actually realize I was a medium. I thought they were just showing themselves to me when they wanted to. I didn't think I had any control over it. So I dove into it after losing my best friend and my little sister. Took all the classes, went all over, and I went to Arthur Findlay College in England. And I remember thinking, they're going to teach me how to do mediumship. And you know what they did? They put me right on the stage and told me to do it.
Right. Oh,
and I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm here to learn. And they're like, do it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I expected.
But that's the best way. I think for
they just push it.
Yes.
It's like, so that's that medium fear.
It is.
Everyone that does it even if it's for their loved ones, family members, friends, certainly all the professional mediums, it's that massive fear. Anxiety, like performance anxiety before delivering a message.
Yes. I think for me, they had to do that because I wouldn't have dove in like I did if they hadn't have pushed me into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do when you start to get nervous like that, Mel? Like, do you ever do that with your clients? Like, what do you do to like relieve any kind of fear or doubts about your work?
I remember when I first started giving like practice readings, I would hyperventilate. I would be so nervous. And so sometimes I would even cancel. But now it's been 4 years that I've been working. And so I do still get nervous, of course, because you want to help the person, you want to connect, and you want to give a great reading. I kind of just close my eyes and say, you got this. And I just go for it.
Yeah, I love that. One of my mentors, Alan Arcieri, he's in the spirit world, but he always used to say, when you get nervous, be of service, because every medium that I teach is like, what if I get it wrong? What if I don't get enough? What if I get the wrong information and they can't identify it with it? And so their focus is on them and not being able to do it well enough.
Yes.
Instead of just focusing on the client and serving them. Because when you're focusing just on the client, it kind of just allows you to be a clearer channel. It just comes right through you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like getting out of your fear, worry, doubt. That's all ego stuff, and that's okay. But it's just a recognition like, okay, just be of service, and then just say whatever comes and don't even worry if it's right or wrong. In fact, I remember Alan, I studied with him back in, I think, 2007. And I remember him telling me that somebody came to him for a reading, and they literally said that every single piece of information he gave was wrong. And he was a very professional medium
Mm-hmm.
and very expensive. And so this person got up and was just pissed. They're like, everything's wrong. Nothing makes sense. And they're like, they just thought it was just, it wasn't fitting. So then they go home and talk to their partner about it. And all the information, every single piece of information was for her.
I've had that happen to me a few times where
Yeah.
nothing fits, and then they'll call me back. I've had somebody call me back 6 months later and say, I talked to so-and-so and everything you said was correct.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes as a medium, you're just like, it's okay. It doesn't matter if they can relate or not, because sometimes they're in their own state of denial, or they're under pressure too to make the connections as you're telling them.
Yes.
And they can't recall everything all at once. So that's why it's helpful to take notes when you're having a mediumship reading or something like that. The client should take notes so that they can recall better later on, because we just get like momentary amnesia when we're in that energy.
I agree. Yes. Or sometimes the reading is not for them. It's for their spouse or it's for a friend. Yes.
Exactly. And spirit will use us however it's a collective. So they will use the medium, they'll use loved ones. It's just all about reconnecting, reconnecting everybody in the energy of love, and they'll use whatever energies are available.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Let's see here, Mel. So you teach mediumship classes.
I do.
You provide readings and you teach mediumship classes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any coming up?
I actually have my course online. I don't teach them like as a session. It's all online. You can take it at your own pace. I remember when I was trying to learn mediumship, there would always be classes, which are great, but they would always be in the middle of the day when I had to work, or they would be really late at night when I'm taking care of my daughter. And so for me, when I built my course, I wanted it to be all online. You can take it when you have time, you have the availability, and you're not rushed or you're not trying to call out of work. So everything for me is all online.
I love that. Mine is online as well. And for exactly those reasons, although for me, it was a little different. I was traveling everywhere.
Right.
I'd fly to Florida, I'd fly to Las Vegas, I'd fly all over. And eventually I was like, I cannot just fly all over and teach 8 lessons.
Yeah.
It was 2 full days. At first it was 8 weeks. Then I reduced it into the amount of hours in the lessons, and I got 2 full days. And then I was like, I just got too busy to travel.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I'm just going to reroute this and put it all on video. And the lessons are so good. My students love them.
You get more value out of it being online because you can pack way more into it.
Yes.
Whereas
you don't forget anything.
yeah, you've probably got about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then people have lives to get to. So when it's
Exactly.
online, you have a lot more value you can put into it.
And can they come back and watch the lessons again, Mel?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
They have lifetime access.
That's awesome. And what's your website for your online school?
Everything I have is on soulcareintuitive.com.
Okay, awesome. Good. Yeah, you guys check out her courses. Call her for mediumship reading. You'll love it. Let me see if I have some more information here. I think, what is your favorite technique? Can you share us like a little tip? What would be your favorite technique for connecting with the afterlife?
Yes. Okay. Really, it's very simple. I like to just sit down and quiet my mind and say, okay, who's here? Who wants to talk to me? And just really being open to that. I've had my grandma come to me many times, my mom's mom, many times. I've had my grandfather, my dad's dad, who died when I was 6, so I don't really know him, come to me, and I've learned about him and I've connected to him. And now when he comes to me, I know it. I know what he feels like. So really just sitting down and saying, okay, who's here, and keeping everything open. Don't expect anything, and really just feel into what's coming.
I love that. And I think also you're hit on a point there. Some people are sometimes so eager to get afterlife signs that they look around and they're like, that's from him, that's from him, that's from him. And it's like,
Yes.
That's the initial reaction when you're first noticing that there's all these signs and symbols around you. And then over time, you learn your discernment with it. And you're like, no, that one's from my father.
Yes.
That one's from my friend. And you learn, because spirit doesn't send you, like all the people that you love right now, that when they die, they're not going to all send you the same signs.
Correct.
They will all find their own language to speak to you in.
My grandma, my mom's mom, she sends birds, typically hummingbirds, but yeah, that's her sign.
And how did you know that would be her sign?
Again, I just felt it right here, and I knew in my mind it was her. It's just a knowing, and it's very peaceful. Like if you have to say, is that? It's not. You feel it, and you just know that it's them, and you feel it in your heart, and you know it in your mind.
Yeah. And if you were going to, like, if you desired to connect, well, you said when you desire to connect with your loved ones, you just sit down and kind of close your eyes and ask for it.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you do to prepare your body to get in the right vibration?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll take a salt bath, but I find that when you have to have rituals and when you have to do this in order to be in the state, it ruins everything. Whatever state you're in, however you feel is perfect. If you have to, I have to get a crystal to be connected. I have to get incense to be connected. It just makes your mind lose track of the connection because you're so worried about what you need.
You're right. I mean, the connection, like we're already spiritual beings.
Correct.
So we are just learning how to tap into those vibrations. I think the tools and things like that are good for people that don't know how to get their vibration high enough or aren't used to working in the spirit world. Absolutely. And the crystals and things like that can help them elevate.
In the beginning, absolutely.
In the beginning, yeah. And then also just the process of rituals it's like it tells your mind. It's not about the ritual necessarily as it is about your mind saying,
right,
oh, it's time to do this. We're entering sacred time, we're entering spiritual time. And so whatever you decide, your ritual might just be putting on a hat. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but some people enjoy, I'm going to take a sea salt bath. I do
that.
Listen, I like candles, look at my loved one's photo, think about them, and then I'm going to tune in. And then they'll get a crystal clear connection.
I used to do that in the beginning. I had I actually learned this in your course, a clear quartz crystal for mediumship that I would hold when I wanted to connect. But as I've been doing it more and more and more, I find that if I'm so worried about, I got to find that crystal, it kind of gets me out of the mode.
Yeah, because you don't need it anymore.
Correct. In the beginning, I needed it. And in the beginning, it really helped me. But I guess I do still kind of have a ritual because I sit in the same chair in the same spot. So technically that is a ritual, but that chair is like an indication, okay, she's ready to connect.
She's ready. And there is something actually spiritually that happens when you do spiritual work in the same place over and over. It creates a portal.
Yes.
So it's like that's your tunnel of connectivity. So for those of you viewers at home that are wanting to do this, you know, when you're developing, especially, or if you're a professional, using the same spot to sit in, like you're training your environment of what you're doing there.
Yes.
And then it will hold that energy for you. Just like when you go to like an adoration chapel that's perpetual adoration, there's like a stream of prayers going constantly. I've had so many miracles happen by going into one of those chapels and praying. So you train your environment by what you're putting into it. So when you train yourself to connect with your loved ones, or you're going into meditation or tuning in, using the same location will help hold the energy and make it easier the next time. It's like compounded interest. It just gets easier and easier.
The spirit knows, hey, she's ready to work. Let's go. Let's be there.
Exactly. Is there anything else you would like to share with us? Do you have anything coming up, Mel? Any kind of events, or you can let us know where people can find you as well?
I'm on all the stuff: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
I love your Instagram, by the way. I love it.
I'm more active on Instagram and YouTube, so those are the best places to find me. I find TikTok is full of a lot of bots and scams.
Yeah.
So I'm not really heavy in there, but finding me on YouTube and Instagram is perfect. I am working on building a tarot course of how to read and access even mediumship through tarot. I'm working on a course on how to do the Akashic records for yourself and one to do for clients. I'm working on all of that, but everything is on my website, soulcareintuitive.com. Everything I'm doing, I post on there.
That's amazing. I love that. What a beautiful journey. Do you feel like your dad's with you, helping you?
Oh, all the time. I feel him with me all the time. I know that he's part of my journey and he's part of what's happening in my life, and he helps bring things into my life. My grandma, my mom's mom, does too. My grandma's with me all the time. And again, going back, when my parents got divorced, I was with my dad, and my grandma took that really hard because she's my mom's mom, and I didn't talk to her for a long time. And when she passed away, she passed away 13 years ago. And then once I stepped into mediumship, she's with me all the time. She talks to me all the time. I'm with my mom, and she'll tell me to tell my mom stuff constantly. Or my mom's dad, my grandpa, he's still alive. He's going to be 93. And she'll tell me stuff to tell him too all the time. So I very much feel that connection.
I love that. What do you think is the biggest blessing that your connection with spirit has given you in your life?
Oh, there's way too many that I could list on your show, but it's really given me an appreciation for life. I've learned to take it, with appreciation and gratitude. I've learned that we're all one. We're all connected all the time, whether you're in a body or you're not. I've learned that love is the most powerful thing. Like I said, I didn't talk to my grandmother for maybe 13 years, and now she talks to me all the time. My parents did not talk to each other. They did not speak. They weren't on great terms. And my father is always telling me that he's looking after my mom, and he'll send her signs as well. Love is all that matters. What we experience and do in the physical world is just a journey. It's just a lesson that we take with us, but that anger and frustration and fear, it's all gone on the other side. We don't take that with us.
Right. Has it changed your fear about, like, if you had fear about death or thoughts about death, has connecting with the afterlife changed any of that for you?
Absolutely. I used to be very afraid of death. I used to be very afraid of where do we go? What do we do? What's next? Or just the fear of dying. And now I don't want to say I welcome it, because of course I don't, but I know that when the moment happens, I will welcome the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while you're here, it's divine for you to still be here.
Yes.
No hurry to go to the other side, but yeah, when that time comes, it'll be whoosh, off I go.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mel. Again, let's just share your website one more time. And by the way, are all your social links on there?
Yes, if you go to my website, Soul Care Intuitive, I have it on the screen. You can see soulcareintuitive.com. Everything is there. All of my social medias, everything to get a hold of me is there.
Awesome.
If I can say one more thing before we go.
Absolutely.
I do want to say that stepping into mediumship and connecting to the other side, the experience of my father connecting with my mom and my grandma connecting with me, it really did help me let go of resentment. So the woman that killed my dad, for years, I hated her. I was so mad. I wished evil things. And now I can let it go. And I pray for her when I pray. And I know that I want her to have a good life. I want her to be happy. So it does let you feel that it's okay to let go of resentments.
Do you think some of that beautiful, heartfelt intention comes from your dad?
I do. I absolutely do. I know that he doesn't hold resentment towards her at all. He does not.
Yeah, people don't understand that. On the other side, there's no grudges or anything that's carried forward. It's like so loving and so peaceful. And I think that that's the beauty of connecting with our own loved ones, because in the physical, we're like, in our ego and our character and our little personality that we're playing. And it's easy to go, oh, they would be so mad and they need revenge. And it's like on the other side, they're like, no.
I don't feel my father has ever felt that. Even when he died, I don't think he has ever felt that. I've never felt that from him.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mel.
Yes.
I think that's a really, really strong, poignant takeaway from connecting. There's just, I find endless blessings and lessons from connecting with those on the other side.
Yes.
I mean, like, I've been doing this for over 3 decades and I continue to learn all the time. They keep showing me different things and teaching me different things. And it's just such a journey. It's like a lifelong journey. And yeah, I strongly encourage people, if you're grieving, to get that connection. Look at Mel's courses, get a session with her, learn to identify your own signs and symbols. Connecting with the afterlife is the bridge to your own healing, and just knowing that you're not forgotten, you're not alone, you're still connected.
Absolutely.
And your loved one doesn't want to see you grieve forever. They want to see you, kick ass and take names. They're like, they're rooting for you. They're helping you. They want to see you fall in love. They want to see you live vibrantly.
I would feel guilty when I would be happy after he died. I would feel so guilty. And that's not what they want at all. They're right there telling you to be happy, telling you to have fun. They're experiencing all of your moments with you. All of the good, all of the bad, all of the in-between. They're rooting for you.
I remember one time after my little sister died, I was giggling about something. It was like a year or two later. I was giggling about something, and she always liked my giggle because I'm a giggler, and she was not. She was more serious than me. So she was always kind of like fascinated with my giggle, and she used to tell me that. So I remember giggling, and I felt her energy come right up to me to feel the vibration of my giggle, and that made her feel really happy. So like, it was like this tingly, like, and I knew it was like she just wanted to get up close, because our voice is a vibration, our laugh is a vibration, our tears are a vibration. They want to be there for the laughter. They want to be there for the love. They want to encourage that. And they feel your feelings on the other side.
That's crazy that you say that, because my dad sometimes will connect with me, and he had facial hair. So I feel like I have a beard and a mustache. I do. And then I'm going like this, and I'm like, okay, dad, can you back up just a little bit?
Yeah, you're like, just back up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Well, God. So next week, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Please go to Mel's website. She's amazing. Also her YouTube channel. She has tons of videos on there. You can find everything on her website, Soul Care Intuitive. And next week, I'm going to be talking with Tracy McGuire out of the UK. I can't wait. Yeah, I know. It's going to be so much fun. So, I want to thank you so much, Mel. Thank you for coming in and sharing
Thank
your
you for having me.
expertise, your personal story about your dad, and all your beautiful gifts for mediumship and the way you work with spirit and the living.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been so fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again. And everybody, we'll see you next week when we reconnect. Bye-bye.